This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
All the volatility we've been seeing lately, well, that could actually mean big opportunities that you do not want to miss. I'm your host of Financial Insanity, Alex Dingman, alongside, as always, Scott McLean, founder of McLean Advisory Group, and my friend. It's good to see you, my man. Happy May.
Buddy. Thank you.
May already.
Great to have you. Great to have our audience back with us as the market is volatile like the rumblings of the clouds and the storms every now and then. It's getting crazy.
Yes, absolutely. So we are going to talk about that. Also today, later on, we'll discuss navigating complex legal and tax issues in retirement, and then some signs you might need a new advisor. But Scott, with all the ups and downs lately, what questions you getting from people? Maybe those, working with you, maybe some that aren't working with an advisor.
I get the questions. Normally, when the market takes off and does well, they love their advisor.
Yeah.
When the market goes down, they start looking for new advisors. When the market goes back up, they look for another advisor. So I guess it's the syndrome. I don't know if you need to go to the doctors and get some medication, some Prozac or not, but understanding what you invest in could really help take the frown and turn it upside down. It could take the indications of what to do. For example, we talk about the roller coaster ride. It could be thrilling for some people, but other people are sitting in the back or in the front throwing up on everybody else, causing them to fear. So again, we don't want to get frozen in fear. We need to understand what the market's doing. And again, this is what we're looking at, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we always try to look at the positives here on the show. And with the markets being so unpredictable, how could those nearing retirement actually see this as an opportunity?
It could be a great opportunity. It's almost like shopping at the supermarket during a high flash sale. And I think what's exciting, grabbing the best deals possible. We saw the market tank on the technology industry just from February's high. It took a real nosedive. And know what happened? The stocks came right back. Yet people pulled out. They call it the bear and the bull market. The bear market swipes down, people get out. Bull market, people go up, and that's how a bull kills people by swiping his horns up. So, again, we want to make sure, are we knowing what a bargain and what's a trap? What is, I call it the three blind mice, how the financial planning leads your money to a mouse trap? Well, the question is, what's out there? What's the traps out there? So basically looking, Alex, now I'm looking at here at the end of April, we're looking at fixed rates. That's right, fixed, like a money market account. Well, they're not fixed because they go up and down with the volatility, the interest rates. But there's some great fixed rates paying almost 5.35, 5.45. The highest one I've seen so far today is 5.5 guaranteed for the next 3 to 5 years, depending on what investment tool you're going into. And there's no worry, no risk, covered by the state guaranteed funds. So it's guaranteed by that. Now, in the area of income, Alex, where you can make some really good buys would be the bonds, preferred stocks, real estate investment trust, business development corporations or BDCs, and master limited partner. So if we're not going to go into the safe investment tools where we know there's hardly any, if any at all, no fees, now we're going to go into the equity world, which would be, again, the bonds, preferreds, the REITs, the master limited partnerships, the business development corporations. They are paying some heck of great dividends. So if you're out there looking for dividends or interest vehicles, this column, people love when they visit our office. When I go through the education process of where are you going to invest the money, in safe gains, on income and dividend gains, or in the market gains. And I tell you, it's so exciting to see people's brain get excited like, wow, we could get that nice dividend on a steady basis? Well, I can't guarantee it, but I can tell you there are some great, yummy tools in the shopping center of investments. Well, let's look for the flash sales and let's make sure we're not getting trapped, but we're getting a heck of a bargain. And this is why people visit with us all the time, Alex. By the way, if you're out there and you're looking for a steady income, you're looking for income tools, you're not worried about growth because you really can't. Growth equals shrinkage at times. The question is, I want a nice steady dividend. Well, my goodness gracious, 609-488-4646 will be the best dividend around. That's right, the dividend. To give our studios a call off the air, 609-488-4646. And what happens during this time, if you decide to give our studios a call, we've got so many people always calling in at these shows. The thing is, when they call and they want to find out, where are we doing? How are we handling it? Where should we go? I'll be happy to share that with you. Whether you like your advisor or don't like your advisor, I'm here to give you information. That's why WBNJ has been so kind to us, giving us the time and 2 shows a week. I think 2 hours a week we're doing, Alex, and just to help you out there understand, where should you be? What should you do? And everybody's different, so it's not a cookie cutter. 609-488-4646. I'd love to hear from you. We'll take time for you. And again, no cost, no obligation for anybody who would like to get some great information. 609-488-4646, Alex.
No, I think that is tremendous, Scott. And it's the long-term thinking that's really important. Not getting too caught up with this snapshot in time. But at the same time, Scott, those folks that maybe are retiring this year or are near retirement, it's tough when the stock market's part of your portfolio. So this is a great opportunity to reflect on, okay, how risky, are my investments? Is my portfolio? And, is this right for where I'm at in my journey, either in retirement or, getting close to it. So definitely a time, maybe you are with somebody or maybe you've been doing a DIY approach and you need to really look at this to see, okay, how am I set up best moving forward?
I think if people, I can, for our listening audience, if you'd like to get a copy of Chapter 1 in my book, The 3 Blind Mice. Chapter 1, we talk about tools in the tool chest, it's a financial tool chest, that gives you nice income that you can really look at. Page 24, a wonderful page to understand preferreds. Most people don't understand that. Most people my age, and of course I'm a young guy still at 66, almost 67. Most people, they remember the stock market because it took off from 1982 to 2000, the fastest bull market in the history of the United States, the fastest bull market. Yes, there were a couple bears during that period, but overall, we're trained in that kind of market. The brain is susceptible to go back to what we know. Well, the market did wonderful. And this is where people look at the bottom on the right-hand side of your portfolio saying, wow, look how much money I made. But if you're on the income producing side, you're looking at how much income did you bring in? How many more dividends did you get? And this is the lost art of investing. They forgot. Wow, there's more than just growth, because growth could have shrinkage. We've seen that. We've seen that time and time again. Heck, from 2000 to 2013, the market went absolutely nowhere. Yes, it was up and down like a roller coaster, but it ended up nowhere for the 13 years. But had you received a steady, let's say a treasury at 6.5% for 13 years, you made a lot of money and you were able to sleep well at night. So understanding where to invest, getting the right mix of bonds, preferreds, REITs, BDCs, MLPs, these tools are wonderful, is what I get these questions all the time. Even before someone invests with us, I want them to understand the tools that are out there, because most investment guys or gals out there just say, well, we'll handle it. No, I want you to understand what you're getting. So when the market does have a sputtering attack like we've seen, you'll say, you know what? Scott said this was going to happen. Yep. You know what? Our portfolio's, wow, it's only down 2%, but the market's down 12. How is that possible? That's called beta. This is why people give our studios a call so often to ask what's going on and how we can help them and guide them to make smart decisions so they can sleep well at night and enjoy the grandkids or the husband, the wife, each other, and not worry about the money only.
Absolutely. And that is Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group, right here in Waretown. That number, 609-488-4646 if you have questions about how to maybe capitalize on a time like this with some market volatility or what to do moving forward. That number again, 609-488-4646. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about some complex legal and tax issues, helping you navigate those, and then some signs, well, that you might need a new advisor. That is coming up. This is Financial Insanity.
What if you ordered a pizza, but when you opened the box, a couple pieces were missing? That would be upsetting, right? Now think about how much you believe you have saved for retirement. Do you still owe taxes on that money? If you do, that could take a big bite out of your nest egg. Financial advisor Scott McLean and his team at McLean Advisory Group understand the importance of tax planning and can help you reduce the impact that Uncle Sam has on your retirement. Give them a call today to start working on your retirement tax plan. 609-488-4646. Create a plan today so that you can get as many slices of your retirement pie as possible. Call Scott McLean at 609-488-4646 today and schedule your retirement tax analysis. That's 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities. Firm may not give tax advice.
And when you pay down debt, you don't pay down the highest interest rate. The biggest mistake is you pay the highest interest rate card when you should do the snowball effect of paying down debt.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Today we are talking about why it's important to work with an investment advisor who can help you navigate the complex legal and tax landscape. Oh yeah, it's a lot out there. Remember, if you have any questions, the number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And Scott, please talk to me a little bit about why it's important to discuss retirement's complex legal and tax issues with an advisor.
I want to drive to Florida.
Okay.
The worst place to drive from New Jersey, Alex, is when you get to that D.C. belt. I think many of you can really relate to the D.C. belt. So frankly, when we're hauling our horses, I actually put the map on. I wake my wife up since I'm driving the 6-horse.
Sure.
I just don't want to. I want to go on the outer belt. Everybody knows what I'm talking about because you get stuck in the middle of the D.C. traffic. It is a flippin' nightmare. And of course, especially when you're pulling animals. Why do I tell you that? Well, in the preparation, I actually have my GPS set up, and then of course we have water in the stalls. We have hay in the stall. It's a lot of work when you're moving animals from point A to point B. It's a lot of work when you're planning a trip. And when you plan a trip, do you have, in my mind, do I have enough tools to maybe, what if the tires go flat? Who do I call? What if something happens? And it happened to us just last year when it was a terrible accident my daughter and my wife got into.
Right.
But notwithstanding, when you're in preparation for a long trip, by the way, you don't stop. For those of you who are unaware of animals, when you're driving horses, you don't stop. It's about a 16 to 18-hour drive where we're going, and you just keep going. So obviously you take a couple potty breaks, maybe get a little something to eat, but it's a nonstop trip. And the horses, of course, need to get their self set up when they get there. What am I talking about? Planning for a long trip requires strategic planning. You might not think about checking the air and the pressure and oil, maybe checking the all the lube and the car's up to date, the bearings. Every little item could cause a tremendous nightmare. When it comes to retirement, Alex, I'm not sure if you're aware, but when you're taking money out of your retirement income, that's the tax return. When you're planning to pull money out, it's all of the investments, whether they're IRAs or 401ks or 403bs, whether they're your non-qualified money, meaning non-qualified money that is taxed differently, long-term capital gains, short-term capital gains. when you invest in the world of investments, you're investing in either ETFs or mutual funds or stocks, depending which, of course, is the lowest price, lowest fee. And then, of course, you're looking at how do I now put all of this together and to design a plan where in the first phase of retirement, I call it the go-go years. You're going to screw up in the go-go years, Alex, but that's part of the financial planning process.
Sure.
Which could lead your money to a mousetrap, which is what I put in my book. The financial planning process can lead your money to a mousetrap. What I mean? Not paying attention to taxes, not paying attention to the legal ramifications, and then not paying attention to when you're pulling money out. How is it structured? You know, if you're going through that right now, I think about this all the time, Alex. I would love to speak to you off the air. I've been doing this now. I think it's the 43rd year of my industry, my business. I've been involved. I am still good looking. I may be a lot older, but I can tell you, when it comes to retirement or planning your retirement, 609-488-4646 could be the best number you could ever had. Why? Well, 609-488-4646. That phone number could ask me questions off the air. No cost. We don't charge. We've been this nonprofit radio station for so many years at WBNJ, and the reason we're here is because all we do is offer educational information for you. So when you're in retirement and planning your retirement, you, of course, have a resource center to go to. How do I do this? And what I find in my world of financial planning as a mousetrap, I talk about as the financial planning leads your money to a mousetrap, how do we put all of this together? There's nothing worse than making a cake and leaving the wrong ingredient out or too much salt. It ruins everything. And so when you think about a financial advisor, did the financial advisor look at the tax ramifications, the legal ramifications, and the investment ramifications? Because this could be a real trap that you don't even know you're in. So I'd love to be able to speak to anybody. If you have questions right now, I have answers, 609-488-4646. But notwithstanding, I think, Alex, when we talk about the go-go years, you're going to be blowing a lot of money. I mean, you go down to when you're taking a trip to Florida, you're going to spend money in gas. If you're really frugal like me, you try to find the best gas price. You want to make sure, is it big enough to turn around this big trailer if you're doing that? Or for those of you in a speed race car, you want to make sure, I don't know how these people are going to be doing these electric cars. You got to stop every so many miles, but I want to keep going. But looking at retirement, Alex, if you're not paying attention, the financial advisor is not looking at the whole picture. It would be like going to a doctor. Alex, let me give you an example of you out there.
Yeah.
Alex comes to me. I am Dr. McLean. And Alex says, well, Scott, I've been having these headaches for the past 5 years coming to you. Do you think, and Alex says, Scott, do you think I should get an MRI? And if I said to Alex, that's a good idea. Alex then says to me, Scott, do you think I should get a EKG and maybe a blood test and urine test? And what do you think? And I say, Alex, that's a great idea. If you didn't fire me immediately, then you're just double dumb. What I mean? If the advisor is not asking deep questions like, do you have a special needs son or daughter? Oh, they're Down syndrome? And they live with you, and how do you plan on taking care of them? That's not a financial discussion, but it really is. How is the child going to be taken care of? These questions are really deep, and they will be part of your retirement. I know you're probably thinking, if you're listening right now, well, what's that got to do with retirement? Everything. Again, when you're taking that trip from New Jersey to Florida, and you want to avoid the D.C. roundabout, well, you need to really be on your game. So in the early years, it's a go-go years. You might be spending a little bit more money, but having somebody hold you accountable. Then you got the slow-go years. You don't want to do as much. You did it. You done it. Maybe you don't want to do it again. And so maybe your spending is a little bit less. And then the no-go years. No, I don't want to do it. Go have fun, kids. Here's a couple bucks. Enjoy life. How is your money spent down? What is the game plan? And this is not a set it and forget it deal. This is almost like going to the masseuse every year because you need a tune-up, or maybe the chiropractor, to making sure your money is in a good place.
Absolutely. 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. And with just the couple minutes we have left here in this segment, Scott, it's not just about picking the right investments. You have to consider a lot of factors, tax consequences, your estate plan. There's just a lot there to it. And to your point, like a successful road trip, a lot of details, and better to talk to somebody who's been on that trip before than going into it blind for the first time.
And one thing we didn't even bring up, which was healthcare. Yep. That's another left hook right around the corner, let alone your spouse getting sick or disabled. How are we spending money down? Do we open up a trust? How do we hide our money, or I should say reposition our money, so the estate doesn't get squandered away? And then, of course, the nursing care facility gets it out. Now we can use the Medicare, Medicaid planning and hide assets to protect it for who? The children, the wife, the husband. How do we do that? And so when people give us a call at our office, I'd love to take your call at 609-488-4646. By the way, that's our website, justadd.com. I'll help you or guide you, try to give you some kind of ideas. And I can tell you the time we spend together will be very valuable for you, not for Scott, for you. I've done this for so long, and I love what I do. I love guiding people. I love more when you hear the information and then you take action. There's nothing worse than these educated dummies who has all this knowledge but never apply it. 609-488-4646. I'd love to talk to you off the air.
And Scott, really important question, the most important question you get all day. What does a bee use to brush its hair?
A bee?
Yeah.
Bumblebee.
Like a bumblebee. What does it use to brush its little hair?
I don't know.
A honeycomb.
Yeah. Dude, are you drinking?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
No. It's pure gold.
I love it.
609-488-4646 is the number. 609-488-4646. justadd.com. And real quickly here, about a minute left, but they might get the pleasure of hearing Bonnie on the other end. I know Bonnie is huge to what you do over there, and she's somebody, if you don't get a hold of Scott when you call, Bonnie will point you in the right direction, right?
She will do it. She takes care of my books. She is amazing, and I can tell you, if ever people come into our office, and you want to get more information, I'd love to get your hands on my book, The Three Blind Mice, How the Financial Planning Process Leads Your Money. It's totally complimentary. You come visit with me. That's my gift to you. If you like to read, just don't take it because it's not made for firewood, but it's made to fire you up to get your finances in order.
609-488-4646. Again, 609-488-4646. justadd.com for the website. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about how to navigate through the complex legal and tax landscape in retirement. Don't go anywhere.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies are not associated entities.
I call it the chicken and the egg. The chicken is the investment. The egg is the dividend. And so when the chicken pops out the eggs, if you don't need the money, let's reinvest the eggs and buy more chickens.
Man, that's just an excellent analogy, Scott.
We made it back. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Today, we are talking about why it is so important to work with an investment advisor who can help you navigate the complex legal and tax landscape. Remember, if you have any questions, the number is 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. I'm Alex Dingman, here with the more important member of the show, Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And Scott, I know we were talking here just about really equating getting ready for retirement a lot like a big road trip. And I thought you had a great analogy. If you just recap again, the road trips that you take here with your horses down to Florida, and what does that have to do with planning for retirement, Scott?
You know, as you plan a road trip, whether you're taking animals or not, it requires a lot of work. And I was like talking about before, when you're taking these horses and you're pulling behind the truck, you want to make sure everything's all set up. Animals, the hay, the feed, the water. It's a nonstop trip. It's 18 hours. It's a long trip. It's an arduous trip. And all of a sudden you get a flat tire. Do I have tools? And thinking of every possible indication that could slow your trip down or cause your trip to turn into a catastrophe. Same thing as retirement. And so when I think about all the tax and legal issues where I think a lot of people are just absolutely not paying attention to it, all of a sudden you're doing well and you or your lovely spouse are having a wonderful time. You take a trip, you come back, you're out the golf course and you swing the ball, you hit the ball, whatever it is. And as you can tell, I'm not a golfer. and all of a sudden you wake up the next day and you're sore. And find out that maybe your blood count's changing, your white counts are changing. Do I have my wife? Can she call because I go to the doctor? Who's the power of attorney for healthcare matters? Just because you're married, she's not or he is not the one in charge. Or maybe your partner. They're not in charge unless you have a document called power of attorney for healthcare matters. Now, why is this important to the finances? You know, as a fiduciary in our firm, I want to make sure my people that I work with, my clients are buttoned up I need just ironclad buttoned up. I want to see the will, power of attorney, living will, healthcare directive. Maybe you need a trust. Maybe you need a special needs trust. Maybe you've got some knucklehead kids that if you gave them $1, they're going to spend $4. Maybe you need a trust that'll delineate or pay out the money on a monthly basis. This is so important. By forgetting the taxes is like not filling up the tank all the way to the top, and you have to make unforeseen stops. You can't make unforeseen stops. Or maybe making sure the tires are inflated on this long trip, but you're not paying attention to the tires, and now you're getting worse gas mileage, and you could have a blowout, which could cause your trip from 17 hours to 24 hours. Or maybe you're not paying attention to the legal matters. What happens? God calls you home. Who gets your money? And maybe you have a ex-spouse as a beneficiary you forgot to change when you got remarried. Again, another legal battle just set up down the road. Or maybe you're just sitting there and you think about all the legal aspects and tax aspects, and you pass money on to the children or to the grandchildren. How is that taxable? Can I avoid taxes? Alex, I don't know about you, but if you're not paying attention as a fiduciary for the financial areas, I believe in my mind as the three blind mice, they need to talk to each other. The three blind mice would be your accountant, your financial advisor, and of course your legal. Whether they get together or not, the advisor, I believe, should be the quarterback. He should look at the whole play and then guide as you're going on this journey called retirement. What if this happens? How is it taken care of? What if your lights start to go dim and now you got to go to a nursing home? How does that take place? What are the taxes involved if you have to pull extra money out? Should I put money into a trust? If you're thinking about those questions, well, Give yourself a hand. Give yourself a clap. Because if you're thinking about it now, take action. There's nothing worse than brilliant people taking no action. I call them double dumb. Don't be double dumb. Take action. When people give us a call at our studios and ask questions at 609-488-4646, when they ask these questions, Alex, and they give us a call or they go to our website at 609-488-4646.com, we've got some neat things that we're adding to our site to help you think through this. I call it the love affair of finances. Your will or your legal documents, your financial documents, and then your tax documents. They must be looked together almost like, as I say in my book, I talk of the composer. Well, the composer is one. Now we've got the conductor who's going to take the composer's music, go to the wonderful orchestra, and now let's play this beautiful music. Or could it be a disastrous music and it doesn't play out? I can tell you, as a musician, one wrong note can be picked up by everybody. One wrong note in your financial plan could be picked up by the crows and the clowns that show up at the funeral.
Yeah.
Do you have them in your life? I guarantee they're there somewhere. 609-488-4646. Write that number down for yourself. If you have questions, I have answers. And if I don't have answers, not act like a smarty pants, I guarantee you I can call so many people at the push of a button. I can call brilliant people that can answer some questions or get answers for you, because there's nothing worse than going into retirement or going into a long trip and not prepared. This is a nightmare.
Well, and truly smart people surround themselves with even smarter people like you just talked about. And so Scott can be that for you, for your finances. 609-488-4646. Now, Scott's one thing that's very important, and I know you do this, but making sure that you have an advisor who's keeping up with the latest legal and tax changes that could affect your investments, because it's not a set it and forget it. It's not a, well, this was right 10, 20 years ago, I'm sure everything is fine. No, you got to have somebody like Scott McLean there looking at these things and making sure that the right choices are being made at the right times.
You could have said that any better. I think the IRS, this is not a laughing matter, even though the IRS, sometimes people get scared. I think the key is an IRS starts knocking on your door for unpaid taxes or penalty, or now we're in probate. Now we have to pay a whole bunch more money when you could have maybe had set your estate up to be as probate free as possible. Or maybe you don't have the legal documents and your spouse, your child, maybe they don't have a power of attorney, and now you've got to make decisions. By not paying attention to those details, not only causes your car to go off the road, or I should say your finances to go off the road, but it also, this undue stress and worry. I wonder, some of you may be going through a health issue. And if you're going through a health issue right now, I can pray for you. But on top of a health issue, let me get to the nitty-gritty. Do you have a power of attorney? Do you have a backup power of attorney for healthcare matters and or financial matters? Both. There's two different types. And by not paying attention to, I believe, the financial advisor's job, I believe, or I take it personally, if I don't know all about my clients and know what to do if their lights go dim or maybe they go out, or maybe there's a child that maybe we need to protect. From money going to the child, we need to open up a trust account. How do I protect this money that's been endowed to me to protect them as a fiduciary? How can I make sure the best of my ability and capability to educate a client in these areas? And my clients are my friends. Am I doing the very best to make sure that you are buttoned up in these areas? And if not, it is my job, I believe personally, to call your lawyer. Hey, I've noticed this in the agreement. How come there's not a backup to the power of attorney? How come there's not a backup to the executor? You know, I hear the daughter is Down syndrome. How come you don't have a special needs trust planned inside the estate? And when I see this, it's almost like all the advisors today, most of them, not all of them, just want to say, what can I get? Not how can I help? How can I get something out of you? Oh, and they push it off. Like Daddy always said, don't push off a problem when you can handle it.
Yep.
Well, let's call this guy, let him handle it. No, it should be the quarterback, the financial guy or gal in your life that would make those calls, because chances are you don't know the questions you're asking, but the financial person involved should know those questions.
609-488-4646 if you have questions. The number for Scott and his team, 609-488-4646. Just a couple moments left, but I wanted you to hit on something because you were talking and going through the different details that someone must think about, and a lot of the stuff, it's not fun to think about. You don't want to think about having a plan for your health problems in the future. I want to talk about going on a trip. Those are the kind of things. But what you can do, Scott, is you can step in, and because sometimes when we're talking about our own money or our own lives, our heart can get in the way of our own head. Meaning, what we care about and when we want something to be true, and sometimes that can mask what we should be doing. And that's where you can step in, Scott, and not that you're heartless. I know you care about everybody that you're dealing with, but you can also look at things critically and think about, okay, what makes the most sense? What's the smartest thing here? What's going to have the least amount of bad consequences? And sometimes you have to step in and say, hey, I know this is really important to you, and I know why it is. Let me explain to you here why this is an alternative way to think about things that could actually be better for you in the long run.
The questions I ask people, or my advisors ask people, are questions that you might have thought about but kind of push it away because it's too hard to think about. Like maybe your spouse's lights are going dim. Maybe they have to go to a nursing home. Do you take them home or not? How do I handle it? How do I handle the money? These are really, really questions that it hits your heart and you don't want to face it. And I'd rather bring it out up front versus wait until the last minute and causing more trouble, more problems later. So you've got to ask these hard questions. For example, let's say you have a son or a daughter, and if they inherit your money, are they going to blow it? Or maybe they've got a wife, or I should say a spouse, a husband or wife, a spouse that you lost your relationship with your son or daughter because the spouse pulled you away from your child. How do you pass the money on? These are real questions that you don't want to talk about because this is really close to heart. And you kind of get, I've had people come to my office, Alex, and we talk about these areas because, again, it's about your money and buttoning up your estate. But again, we've got to ask deep questions. And how do we pass the money on? And all of a sudden you have an estranged child because of a spouse, possibly. Or maybe they have a special needs son or daughter, because we handle a lot of that. And all of a sudden they have their estate set up wrong. You pass away, your wife or your spouse passes away. The money goes to your son, but your son passed away. Now, how does that money go down? Do you want it to go to the spouse or your children? Well, maybe you need a testamentary trust to make sure it goes to the child, and maybe a different trustee because you maybe don't want the spouses to handle it. You want someone else because they could get remarried and now your money goes to the new family. These are questions you don't want to think about. No one wants to talk about your kids passing. By the way, it happened in my family. You guys understand, I've been through some challenges that I'm able to take from my life experiences, put it inside of my financial practice, and help who? Help those of you listening right now. Because when you've been through a bump in the road, well, maybe you just know how to avoid that bump for someone else. And they don't have to go through the anxiety, stress, excessive taxes, and the crows and the clowns that eventually shows up at the funeral. That's Chapter 11 of our book, Alex. If you want Chapter 11, I'll email to you. Call Bonnie, 609-488-4646. Ask for Chapter 11. We can email it to you today with totally no cost, no obligation. I just give Bonnie a call, 609-488-4646, and say, Bonnie, I'd like to read Chapter 6 of Scott's book. I'm not a good reader, but I'd like to read that. I can tell you, you will love it. You'll hear my life experiences and action steps that you can apply today, not tomorrow. Don't be double done with all this knowledge. Take action. Don't put it off.
More financial insanity with Scott McLean on the way.
What if you ordered a pizza, but when you opened the box, a couple pieces were missing? That would be upsetting, right? Now think about how much you believe you have saved for retirement. Do you still owe taxes on that money? If you do, that could take a big bite out of your nest egg. Financial advisor Scott McLean and his team at McLean Advisory Group understand the importance of tax planning and can help you reduce the impact that Uncle Sam has on your retirement. Give them a call today to start working on your retirement tax plan. 609-488-4646. Create a plan today so that you can get as many slices of your retirement pie as possible. Call Scott McLean at 609-488-4646 today and schedule your retirement tax analysis. That's 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities. Firm may not give tax advice.
Frankly, you could have your grandkids tweet out to your friends or go on the Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is and say, I got great information from Scott.
And you left out TikTok there as you're rambling off the different social media being used by the kids today. You got to remember that TikTok.
Oh, that's right. Tickety-tock.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group.
Well, if you've been with an advisor for a while and you're thinking about making a change, there are 5 signs it is finally time to fire your financial advisor, or maybe you're just considering getting a second opinion. We're going to hear about that now. Scott McLean here on Financial Insanity. Thank you so much for joining us. And Scott.
Thanks, Alex.
Yes, this is one of those times where, maybe somebody's out there thinking, gosh, I don't know if this person is right for me, or maybe they're thinking, I've been hearing about the value of getting a second opinion, and maybe one of these notes here or one of these signs will resonate with you. So let's jump into it here, Scott. So the first sign that it could be time to fire your current advisor, they are not acting in your best interest. I know that is so important, Scott.
It's really important, Alex. When I hire a limousine driver to bring me to the airport or bring me somewhere, my best interest is to get there on time, safely, securely, with a nice, smooth, comfortable ride. The challenge is in this volatile market, are they paying attention to it? Or maybe they're acting on their benefit. Let's get the highest rate of return, but that's speeding up and slowing down and speeding up on that limousine. Well, if they're not acting in the best interest, they're not a fiduciary. They're selling products that may have had their pocketbook. Are they ethically bound by, as we are, as a fiduciary? Are they obligated to really ask lots of deep, concerning questions? I think that's the number one. Are they acting in your best interest out there listening to me? Are they just, don't worry, hang in there, like they said when I was in the early 80s? Hang in there, don't worry, it'll come back. In the year 2000, hang in there, don't worry, it'll come back. That's what they told us to say. Those statements doesn't work when you're in retirement or nearing retirement. So number one is, Alex, are they really looking at your best interest? Are they asking about your spouse and their health? Asking lots of really come to Jesus, I call it, questions. Are they really getting down in the dirt? Maybe you have a child that's disabled. Are they thinking about that child? How are they going to protect it? Maybe their lights are twinkling. They're getting dementia. Are they listening to your best interest, not just growing the money? That's really important. They're looking maybe at commissions versus really advising. That's really important.
Well, like a driver that maybe's getting gas after picking you up as opposed to doing before. They're not acting in your best interest. Like you want an advisor to be thinking about me instead of thinking about yourself.
Absolutely.
Now, number 2 here, as we're going through 5 signs that it could be time to fire your advisor, they dismiss your input. Scott, you wouldn't want that.
I don't know anybody, and it's time really to leave, dismissing the input. I think if I was at Christmas time, if I wanted a new tennis racket, I remember the famous Arthur Ashe tennis racket. I played tennis a lot when I was younger, and I really wanted a tennis racket. Well, if I got a ping pong racket, I wanted a tennis racket. Different game. You had to hit the ball across the little fence or the big fence. The question is, did mom and dad dismiss me? And that really makes a challenge for how I feel about things. You didn't listen, mom, dad. or you didn't listen, Mr. or Mrs. Advisor. You see, with the expertise of asking about the taxes, ask about the legal questions, ask about the financial and investment questions. Maybe you were aggressive a few years ago when the market was taking off, but now it's going down and they don't listen to you because they say, well, it's going to come back. Hang in there. Don't worry. They absolutely didn't listen. And maybe they respond, but they didn't take action. And this is a real problem in the industry today because hopefully the market's come back. It's had a real challenge. I would like, if anybody's out there listening, you'd like a little discussion. Let's have a little talk. I'd love to talk to you off the air. And if you'd like to ask some questions to me, I'll be happy to get a hold of you. You can actually leave it with Bonnie, and Bonnie will set up a time to have you talk to us off the air at 609-488-4646. Because when you hire a financial advisor, not only number one, they were saying not acting in your best interest, and number two, are they listening or are they dismissing your input? In other words, maybe you had a child that has to move back in with you because they made a series of bad decisions and they're going through a financial challenge. Okay, that needs to be in the plan. That's why I think these financial plans are good for a short period of time, maybe a month or two, not for a long period of time because life happens. So number one, not acting in best interest. Number two, they dismiss your input. Please, this is important to discuss this, if not on a yearly basis, at least once or twice, maybe 4 times a year if your life is really changing. Don't let your input get dismissed. Alex, now you had number 3, which is really challenging. Alex, what have you heard out? What was number 3, the biggest challenge you've heard?
Sure, and what I'll say too is, and this kind of goes 2 and 3 kind of go hand in hand. And to your point about a person like Bonnie, Bonnie is just such a great asset for you, a tremendous person to work with, to talk to, and just a great person to have in your office, and somebody who will never be number 3. Difficult to reach because sure, Scott, you might be in and out of meetings with other fine folks, and Bonnie is the person in your office to be there to help take those calls and guide clients to you and through the process. But number 3, as far as 5 signs it could be time to fire your advisor, they're difficult to reach.
You know, Alex, that's a wonderful choice. I was going to bring that up. I had different words, but your words are much better than mine. Difficult to reach. You know, we've actually just hired 2 more people because our practice is growing, which I'm so pleased that it's growing. We get so many of our clients referring us, and not being able to. The number 1 goal is to take care of our clients. Number 2 goal is get new business, and of course we got to get new business to keep our business going. But luckily, we don't work out of the back of our car. We don't travel to someone's house. We don't. We have to have them come here. I used to do that in the early years of my practice from 1982, 83, 84. And actually stopped doing that in around 1995, 96, where people started coming in. I just could not make my time worthwhile. So if they're working on the back of the car, God bless them. But if they don't have a staff and someone to follow up with the questions, we're trying to train our new staff members to answer a lot of questions because we don't want people hanging out there. Just today, we had the beautiful husband pass away, and we're now discussing with them, okay, with his wife, okay, how do we plan your income? You've just lost your husband's Social Security since yours was higher. He had a pension. His pension dropped down from $1,000 a month to $450 a month. So we have to make that up. We're trying to figure that out. You know what? They need to reach somebody. And that's important. That's why we have to have a staff. So I think that's really important because, you know, again, being in that limousine, you want to be able to communicate with people which way to go, how to get there. They think they know where to go, but maybe you have a different area. So if you can't reach them, they dismiss your impact. They are not acting in your best interest. Well, are they difficult to reach? And this is really, really a challenge I hear. It's almost like you buy a product at the bank, thinking the bank's going to protect you. You set it and forget it. And that is not the area because life as a fiduciary, as an advisor, it has a lot of different segments, which is legal, tax, and finance.
Well, and if you want to reach Scott, you can at 609-488-4646. Again, the number 609-488-4646. Going through 5 signs it could be time to fire your advisor. Number 1, they're not acting in your best interest. Number 2, they dismiss your input. Number 3, they're difficult to reach. Number 4, Scott, they don't give you the details. Now, I don't want all the details, but heck, if I'm giving you some of my money or a lot of my money, I would like to kind of know what's going on and what you're doing with it and not have it be a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
You know, whether they're investing $5,000 or $500,000, $1 million, each person is not, Alex, a cookie cutter. Now, when I say cookie cutter, Alex, what that means for those of you listening, let's say you have mutual funds and you bought what's called target date mutual funds. They call it the 2020. 2025, 2030. In other words, when are you going to retire? And say, well, I'm going to retire in 2035. Okay, you click it, set it, forget it. No. Not good. You need to really pay attention to those areas because they got to dig down for more details as to how much do you want to pull out? If it's for income, do we want money for our special needs child? What happens if you become disabled? These are in-depth questions that could lead down the estate planning role, which we do at our firm. I think you know that, Alex. We do that really. We got great people. Maybe they have other types of investment tools they didn't tell us about or didn't tell the advisor about. They need to pull that in, which we did just the other day, where they had an extra $30,000, which didn't change their life, but they said, oh, Scott, by the way, we have an extra $30,000. Great, let's put that over here. You take care of it. Go put it in a 3% account at Ally Bank if you wish to use them. Great liquid. But again, people's details are so important. Most of the times what I find, Alex, is if I don't ask the questions, they may not even remember to ask. Or if I don't ask diving deep questions, by the way, who does your money go to? Oh, you want to make sure it's protected because your daughter has a spendthrift problem? Well, maybe we need a spendthrift trust because if she gets it all at once, she's going to blow it. Or maybe your son is married to a person, a woman, a man that they don't like, and you want to protect that money from that person. Maybe we need to have that discussion. Again, this is a time for the advisor that I hope before you advise them, are they asking you really deep down, I call it intimate questions, intimate meaning intimately about your finances, to make sure you preserve your money. The money goes to the right place. And today's could be different than 2 years from now. So again, a tight lip will sink a ship. Well, could it sink a ship if you know there's a hole in it? Well, let's go tell the captain we got a problem. So again, I'm not sure what you guys are doing out there listening. That's right. You right now that are listening to me, you got to give all the information out there. They're not asking. That's why when I wrote the book, The Three Blind Mice, how the financial planning process leads your money to a mousetrap, I bring up 11 different flags that pop up. And for those of you listening right now, if you'd like to get a copy of my book, I'd love to get it in your hands any way possible. Just give Bonnie a call because these are some questions that Alex brought up, the 5 different areas. Number 1, not acting in your best interest. Fire him or your advisor. Number 2, they dismiss your input. They're not listening, trying to have their own agenda, not your agenda. And by the way, your agenda may change as we just spoke. Number 3 was they're difficult to reach. And lastly, number 4 is they don't give you clear or all the details. But there's one more.
One more, Scott.
There's one more that's really, really, really important that ties it all together. Alex, what was that number 5? I think that you found when you speak to your mom and dad and other advisors, families.
Absolutely. We got just a couple minutes left. We want to go over the last one, and this one's important. And for you, it's something that's easy. You're a people person. You're a social guy. You're easy to get along with, and you want to get to know people. And this is the last one. So 5 signs it could be time to fire your advisor. The last one, they don't take the time to get to know you. Why is that important, Scott?
Guys, listen, if you're listening to me right now, if you invest any money with an advisor, the first time you meet them, you need to run. If they beg you for money, you need to run. You need to get to know them, know their personality, their role. It just may not be a good fit. And if you're married, have a special partner, you know what? You guys need to talk about it on your own. I would do no business with anybody. I tell it to clients when they come visit me, Alex. We will not do business today. I want to get to know you. I want to know if I can help you. I want to know if we're a good fit. a good fit for our firm and a good fit for you, because if something happens to you, I need to know how our firm can best serve you. So they don't take time to get to know you. You need to get your questions written, not just are you a fiduciary? That's important. Please, 609-488-4646. This was, again, the top subjects, the top area that people want to make a shift in their advisors. It's time to look at them. Number one, they're not acting in your best interest. Number two, they dismiss your input. Number three, they're difficult to reach. Very important. Number four, they don't give you the details. They need to give you all the details. And lastly, really don't take time to get to know you. This could be a wonderful time to get another opinion.
This radio program may contain information which has gone regulatory or other significant changes since its original recording. The information and views expressed on today's show is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment, product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities.
This radio show is a paid placement.